Hey guys, it's Taryn with the Remote Yogi back for another baking chat. I still haven't figured out a name for these. I'm just filming them and hoping inspiration comes my way. So we'll see how that goes. Today I'm going to attempt to make some vegan crackers. They're like seasonal crackers with Italian seasoning and it's supposed to also have nutritional yeast, but I don't have any, and I figure they'll be fine without it. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, I'm also wanting to talk to you guys today about being okay with the lows and just honoring the cycles we all go through. I just had an amazing call with my group coaching clients this week, and that was one of the things we really talked about is the shame and the guilt we have around when we're in a dip, when we're in a low energy mode, when we're feeling a bit of depression, when we're feeling high anxiety, and we're not our typical selves, which might be more vibrant and luminescent. And so I want to just talk about that today and how it's super normal. Like today you can see me with my pink lipstick and I'm bubbly and I'm excited to bake. I've got my coffee. But you know, just a few days ago, I was feeling a major low and I could hardly get off the couch and I couldn't get any work done. And I was feeling really like meh. Meh is my favorite word to use. So, you know, understanding that that's normal and it's okay, and that just can help to release some of the shame. So we're gonna be talking about that today. So I'll share again in the notes, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll share the information on today's recipe. I found it on Pinterest today. So not doing a British bake-off recipe, I'm doing just a Pinterest vegan recipe. So we're gonna try this out. The recipe calls for a food processor, and I feel like using the KitchenAid. So we're gonna see if it works the same way. They just have you pulse the mixture together. I'm just gonna like blitz it together in here. I'm guessing it'll be fine. I've never made crackers. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so yeah, just talking about the lows today and wanting you to understand that having low moments in life is super normal. It's super reasonable. Like we're never, I wouldn't say never, very few of us are always in this like high energy, go, 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 super positive, super motivated kind of style. Like most of us, you know, have our highs and lows. We go through valleys, we go through maybe more tumultuous periods of our lives, and then we like settle, and that's all normal. Understanding that that is just part of the process can help us to just release some of the shame. Oftentimes I'm talking to my clients and my audience, there's a lot of like guilt we have around not being as productive as we normally are, or feeling like maybe people aren't able to lean on us as much when we're in a low season, and that's okay. That's part of our human nature. And so I think one of the big things we want to do right off the bat is take away the shame, understanding that it's super normal to go through the highs and lows, and that it's super normal to need people at different times of our life and in different ways. So I think one of the ways that we get really stressed out about the fact that we're going through these seasons is because we feel guilty that we're leaning on our friends and family in a different way than normal. We feel like we're not up to our normal par. And in our society, especially America and parts of Europe, there's like a huge emphasis on being independent and like doing everything on your own and not needing to lean on anyone and all of that, which sounds like a positive thing, but that's not how we're biologically made. You know, it's just our human nature to want to have community and to have that kind of ability to lean on people when we need them. That's just part of how we operate. So just recognizing that that is normal, and it's not something to be ashamed about. It's actually like beautifully vulnerable and in such a courageous way. And we can lean in and say, hey, I'm actually going through some shit. I'm at a low point. You might not even know why. It might just feel like suddenly the world has caught up with you and you're just feeling exhausted. And being able to share that with people close to you and say, hey, I just might need a bit of space, or I might need a bit of comfort or whatever it is that you're feeling you need, to be able to express that to people is super courageous and powerful. So pause really fast on the self-motivating talk. This recipe is super easy because it's mostly flour and water and spices. So I'm just adding all the spices right now, but really easy. So I think that's the big thing with number one, is just understand it's super normal. I also want to speak for a moment to the women in the audience, because I know most of my audience are women or girls, and understanding that we naturally have a bit more of a cyclical nature than men, especially when it comes to our moods. So one of the things that helped me feel better this past week when I was kind of down in the dumps and I was feeling just meh, I'm gonna keep using the word meh, I don't know if you relate to that word, was remembering that my cycle is about to begin like any day now. And sometimes we experience like feeling down during our cycle, or like that loss of energy and cramps and everything. But we usually, if you pay attention, get a significant drop about a week or so before our periods. And here's where that happens. Our bodies naturally produce hormones to help us have a baby. That's really what's going on. And so leading up to our ovulation, our body is pumping us full of testosterone and estrogen and things that make us like glow. So you can notice if you track your cycle, when you're ovulating, you don't only look good because you're glowing from all the extra hormones, but you feel freaking awesome. Like it's the best time to like schedule meetings about promotions or to try to take on new deals, stuff like that. Like you're feeling really hot during that time of the month. But then what happens is our body catches on to the fact that we're not pregnant just a little bit after our ovulation. And for everyone, this time window is a little bit different, but usually about a week out from ovulation, our body's like, oh, okay, you didn't get pregnant, so we don't need this hormone level anymore, and all your testosterone and like the happy, look good, feel good hormones and the confidence, like testosterone's really connected to confidence, that like drops off a cliff. And for some, it might feel more gradual. For me, it's like I'm on top of the world. I'm about to like crush things. I'm doing well in everything. Like I'm feeling really good. And then I just like drop off a cliff and I'm like, what was I ever thinking starting a business, and who am I, and like no one's ever gonna love me and life's so hard, and like literally it gets so dramatic. But I can also understand based on my calendar that that's a hormonal reaction, and I can take off some of that like guilt and annoyance I have towards myself just by recognizing like, oh, this is normal. I'm just like having that time of the month experience, and like let it not be a big deal. So that could be one of the things if you're, if you've got regular cycles and you're listening to this, that might be something that you can track. And then that can just take off some of the pressure of like feeling guilty about the fact that like we are women. And it's not something to feel like negative about or feel like it's a weakness. It can be a really powerful tool when you know your cycle well, and you can say, okay, I know that this week I'm going to be at top of my game, and I can prepare to do things that require me to be top of my game like this week and be on it. And then there can be other weeks where I need like more downtime and I need more rest, and I can do simple work, and I can plan that into my schedule once I know my cycle. And then like it's a powerhouse. It's a really cool thing. Okay, we're not talking about cycles, so we'll bring it back to the lows. Just gonna yank this bad boy up. Ooh, ooh, okay. I wouldn't say that looks pulsed, but it looks blended, so that's good. I've got this lovely water and oil mix. Ooh la la. I'm just gonna add it and keep mixing, so just hang on a second. Crushed it. Said it's supposed to look crumbly. I think this looks crumbly. Okay, so preparing my surface area. this like nice little mat to put down, makes it easy. Okay. So yeah, your cycle could be one of the causes. It could also be like change of weather. Right now for me, I set out in the sun today. It has been pretty cold here. It's been cold everywhere I've been in the last few months. And today the sun was out. It was beautiful. I went and sat in the sun and I was so joyous. It was insane. But, you know, knowing that when you can't be in the warm weather or the sun's not out, that could affect your mood. Just different parts of your diet could affect your mood. Actual things happening in your life, obviously, like we have like situational depression, situational anxiety, those kinds of things. It's so normal. And I actually, like, I have an entire podcast episode I did with a couple of my friends in Bali where we were talking about mental health and like kind of the stigmas that like we were all living in Bali running our own businesses. Like it can look like our lives are amazing on the surface, and even when they are like seemingly amazing, it doesn't mean we can't suffer from like mental health issues. Look at those crumbs. I don't know if you guys can see it. Boom. Take a little photo. Oh, that's my face. Ooh, yeah. See? Got my crumbs going. This looks great. Then we're supposed to make a mound. So, make a mound. And so it's understanding that, like, first off, it doesn't matter, like, how outwardly great your life looks. You can still have bad days or bad weeks or bad moments, whatever. And sometimes it doesn't feel like there's any rhyme or reason, and that's okay. There doesn't have to be a rhyme or reason. And you don't need to feel guilty about the fact that, like, you're experiencing things. You know, that was what we talked about in the podcast, was people look at our lives and they're like, oh my God, you're living in paradise. How could you be dealing with depression or suicidal thoughts or anything like that? And we're like, well, because we're still human, right? So just giving yourself permission to have off moments, I think, is super important, because ultimately, I find that my clients who deal with stress and anxiety, it's not so much the stress and anxiety that's an issue or the depression that's a major issue. It's the judgment and the guilt and the shame we have around those things. So, you know, I think it's just important to like understand that it's super normal, and that rest in slow periods and down seasons, that's like part of like our human nature. You know, we used to really follow the seasons, and summer is our time to like get out and, you know, hunt and gather and be adventurous, like do all these things. And in a winter, we would like slow down and do a lot less and spend a lot more time relaxing, and we've gotten rid of that. So understanding that there are still seasons, just because we have like outsmarted them with our lights and our heaters and our, you know, different items around the house, doesn't mean that our bodies are still not impacted by the seasons. It doesn't mean that we still don't need downtime, and just letting that be like super normal part of the human experience instead of like a reason to beat yourself up. Okay, so I'm supposed to be getting this really paper thin. Not paper thin, but like 1/16 of an inch, which is, I'm guessing that's really small. Okay, if you watched my video on scones, you know that I'm not really great at estimating measurements, but I'm gonna try my best with this. So yeah, just understanding like it's okay. It's okay to have down days, and the more you let yourself relax, the more you let yourself feel when things come up, the less likely you're gonna be rocked so hard that you are down for a really long time. So that's what tends to happen, I think, is like we have bad days and we just tell ourselves like, you don't have time to be sad today. You don't have time to like struggle today. Get up, get going, get back to work. Nobody has time for your mental health. And, or like there's like that like fear of being lazy. You're like, don't be a lazy bitch today. You better get up and get going. And just like releasing that kind of criticism to begin with might stop you from having like dramatic falls where you feel like really, really unable to do anything for a few days. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking and like speed the camera thing up. so you don't have to watch me do this. Yeah. This is actually like a workout. All right, I have no clue how this looks, but you know, cool. Okay, I had to go get a measuring tape because it says to cut them into like 1.5 inch things, and I had to like figure out what that looks like. So, okay, I think I've got it. And so you use like a pizza cutter, and I'm gonna guess about, okay, well, if I cut this off, okay, so about this far. Okay, cool. I don't know. So one of the things, you know, in the group coaching call, one of the girls said, you know, sometimes it's just really nice to hear other people are going through that. So like she's talking about just hearing that I had some days where I was off and feeling kind of low and feeling down and whatever. It makes it okay for her to have bad days. She said, you know, when you look up to other people, especially when you look up to certain friends or certain like coaches, people you follow online, like understand that we're all having our bad days. We might not share them as much online. I wish people shared them more online, but you know, understanding that it's super normal to not beat yourself up about it. Oh my gosh, my pizza cutter is like wobbling as I do this. Also, they're really thick in the middle. I have some thick crackers. Okay. So you know that can be a big part of it as well, is just understand that like, okay, you're not doing this all by yourself. Like there are other people who are going through hard things, and like it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's not like something to beat yourself up about. We're already so critical of ourselves as it is. Like we really don't need one other reason to beat ourselves up. Oh my gosh, you guys. I should have done these with my perfection video because these are like the most imperfect crackers I've ever seen. Okay, so then the ones that are gonna stick around, I think, I'll go through it. I guess we're supposed to like poke them with the fork so they puff up. Half of these are like tiny and the other half are like massive. What I also like to remind people of is it's really challenging to be like in the highs all the time. Like, I know that some like, I don't know how to phrase this. I think like some personal development or like positive mindset people might disagree with me that like, you could totally be happy all the time, but I don't think so. And here's why. First off, like happiness is like this fleeting sensation. It's not like a lasting feeling that we can hold on to. It's like situational. It's like, okay, in this moment, I'm okay. Also, these are coming out to be more like, I don't know the name of the shape. A rhombus? Is rhombus like the squares? Anyway. So when people come to me and they say, I'm looking for like changes in my life, and I'm like, okay, what do you want? What are you looking to achieve? And they say, I just want to be happy all the time. Sorry, I hate to laugh. It's just one of those things where society has fed us this belief that like, all we need to do is like aim for happiness and we can be happy all the time. And it's just like, it doesn't work that way. So I'm like not saying that to be like a dickhead, but just saying that to be like truthful and understanding that what we should be seeking instead of happiness, which again is that like fleeting experience. It happens like quickly and then it's gone. It's like, oh yeah, I'm so happy for like the 3 minutes that I opened this present, and then like the luster goes away. It's like less exciting, right? Like it's just how life is sometimes. So understanding that that's crazy normal. What we would aim for instead, which is a bit more long term, it's not as fleeting, would be fulfillment. And with fulfillment, we have challenge, we have struggle, we have obstacle, because usually when we feel the most fulfilled, it's because we've overcome something, right? We've overcome a challenge. There's been something we worked through in our life. Like these are the big things that help us to feel fulfilled. So in those situations, it's a good thing to kind of go through lower periods. It's a good thing to go through challenge. It's a good thing to struggle. And we can feel empowered in those things. We can go, okay, I'm going through a downtime. Right now it feels shitty and that's fine. I'm not going to beat myself up for it because I know that this is just part of the human experience. And if I beat myself up for it, it's just going to feel a lot shittier. And knowing that after I make it through this season, I'm going to come out feeling like I accomplished something. Like I kicked ass with depression this month. I, found my way through this anxious period and I did so without hating myself, without beating myself up. And that can give you a sense of fulfillment and it can give you a lot more confidence. It can make you feel empowered instead of feeling like crap about the fact that you might struggle with some mental health issues. You can say, yeah, I do struggle with anxiety sometimes. I do struggle with depression sometimes. And you know what? Like it's making me a stronger person every time I experience it. And I know that I'm not alone in this. And I know that I can be like a light for other people by making it less taboo. And just understand that like you can be part of that dialogue with your friends and people you love. Even if you don't have social media audiences, it doesn't matter. Like the people who are close to us are listening and they're paying attention. And so just like letting that be a really cool thing that you get to make it safe for other people by making it safe for yourself. All right, these are about to go in the oven. Not really sure if I did them right. They've got the little spots on them. Gonna go in. Echo, set a timer for 12 minutes. See? Ooh. I'm like re-rolling a bunch of them because I think the middle ones were a bit too thick. This is tiring. Oh my gosh, I'm like sweating. They're not any thinner than they were earlier. Cool. Getting too much, you can see. This is actually really fun. Do 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 do. Okay, it's really hard with the phone in my hand. Looking through the phone. You guys should try this. Try to like use the camera. No, don't do it. It's hard. I was just thinking about one of my favorite quotes. I know it's by Osho, but I know I'm going to totally butcher the actual words. But like pretty much what he's saying is like, if you have a giant tree, it's like the top of the tree and the branches and the blooms, that's happiness, that's joy, right? As it expands through the branches. But it's got to have roots. And the tree of happiness has its roots in sadness and sorrow. And as the roots grow longer, the top can grow taller, and vice versa, but we have to have both. And it just kind of allows for this really beautiful balance. And so that's the other thing is understanding that sometimes these low periods, especially depression, can come because we've been avoiding feeling to the point where we numb out. And, you know, depression, people who haven't experienced it before, or when we don't have the right vocabulary to explain it, we think of it as sadness, but generally it's not sadness. More so it's like emptiness. It's that feeling of like nothingness. It's feeling meh. And sometimes that can be caused from just numbing out too often. So if we're constantly like numbing out in our daily lives, we're trying to avoid feeling certain emotions, certain experiences like anger, sadness, frustration, sorrow, grief. We can numb out long enough where we're not feeling much anymore. And that actually feels a lot worse. Ooh, thank you. Thank you, Echo. Echo off. That voice. They're looking like crackers. They're looking like crackers. They're not looking done yet, but they're looking like crackers. Echo, set a timer for 2 minutes.
2 minutes, starting now.
I'm gonna try to squeeze a couple more out. So anyway, just recognizing that like, if you can allow yourself space to feel things and to like experience emotions, it's going to help you in the long term. You know, and emotions aren't bad. Feelings aren't bad. Like there's no such thing as like bad feelings. There are different vibrations, there are different energies to all of our feelings, but like anger, sadness, grief, those aren't bad feelings. They're just maybe lower vibrations, but they're still things we need to experience. They're still part of being a human. We're just making space to feel those and to not make it such like a negative thing to experience that. And that's sometimes what I do with my one-on-one clients is we really dive into feeling, to experiencing feelings, to tracking our feelings, to understanding them, which also just helps you to get to know yourself a whole lot better as well. Okay, I'm gonna wrap these up and then I'll close out the video. Okay, the first batch is out and they look like crackers and it makes me really happy. Oh, they're hot. Oh, don't drop a cracker. They smell really good. And by smell good, I mean they smell like pure Italian seasoning, but I'm not mad about that. They may also all be different colors of brown, which means they were not evenly spread, but that's fine. All right, it's gonna be blurry because of the focus. This looks like a cracker. Oh, it like snaps like a cracker. It tastes pretty good. Oh, all right, not bad. I'll let the rest of those finish baking. Thanks so much for joining me for this unnamed show I haven't figured out yet. I'm gonna be hopefully doing these for as long as they're fun for me, which who knows, that might not be fun tomorrow or next week, or they might go on for 3 years, who knows. Let me know if there's any topic you would love me to talk about. If you're not already, make sure you're following me on Instagram at The Remote Yogi. That's where you can message me, let me know what you'd love to see here or on the podcast, Embracing Human, where I talk all about loving being human, kind of what we talked about today. And if you're looking for more of this and you want a community, and you want that sense of like camaraderie as you go through these things, make sure to check out my Remote Yogi Tribe. It's an online space that is all about your personal development. We use mind, body, and soul tactics. So there's yoga, there's meditation, and there's powerful workshops that are gonna help you to feel better all around and just constantly be in this energy of possibility and growth and learning more about you and where you want to be going and having the tools to get after it. So check that out, or send me a message and I can help direct you towards whatever might be a good fit for you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next unnamed baking chat show.